Ladies and gentlemen, RotoGrinders, welcome back to the Week 16 DFS Roundup here on Grinders Live. My name is Alex Dunlap. I am the editor-in-chief at Roster Watch. I'm also the host of Roster Watch on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio tonight, 7 to 9 Eastern, tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern. Joining me, as always, here on the Roundup, it's our man, CJ Kaltenbach. You know him as TheSeige. Siege, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Enjoying the weather in Florida. This is great.
I didn't even ask you, dude. I got here so late. I didn't even have time to ask you what the hell's going on behind you. Where are you in Florida?
Walt Disney World.
Are you really?
Yeah.
For Christmas?
Yep.
With the family?
You got it.
Are there any kids involved, or is it an adult Disney Christmas?
It's pretty much an adult Christmas. I mean, it depends what you define it. I mean, we're pretty kid-like, but no actual kids. So.
Are you going on rides?
Haven't yet. I will before I leave for sure.
You gonna go over to Epcot Center?
No Epcot on this trip. Probably gonna do Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, that kind of stuff.
Now, the Tower, is that the Tower of Terror? I've been there since I was a little kid. Is that the one where you kind of you're in a elevator shaft and
Yep.
it just goes forward and it just comes out from under you? And you're a grown man. You're gonna do that thing? There's no way I would.
Why not? It's fun.
Because as I've gotten older and older, I've become more and more scared about the end of my own existence.
My family be taking well care of. Disney has deep pockets.
Yeah, right. All right. So anyway, this is the DFS Roundup show. As usual, Siege and I, we're going to go over 6 different topics that we've chosen, that our producers have chosen from some of the other shows here on Grinders Live during the week. Siege and I will give our takes on them. At the very end, hopefully we'll have some time to make some bets, or maybe in my case, maybe we don't have time to make the bets, because as of now, I'm getting buried. Last week, I took a 2v2 with Mark that involved Marquise Lee on my side, and it involved Stephon Diggs on Siege's side. That's basically all that you have to know on that one. Siege is now up 7 units on me coming in here to week 16. Hope we have one more show. Hopefully I can make some of it back up between this show and next week. Where Siege has promised he's going to put up a NBA subscription to his Tournament Tactics up as part of
You keep begging for that.
Because I keep just talking about getting buried.
You know, you could just
you want to see how buried you want to see how buried I'm getting in NBA.
Then you should just pay the piper.
Well, that could possibly be the case if I don't turn out to win one in week 17. But yeah, so we're gonna go through these clips, and if we have any time at the very end, whenever Siege and I will go over some of our own personal takes and maybe get into some more prop bets and other bold calls. Before we get started, Siege, any overall thoughts on the slate? I mean, is it one of these where you say it's easy, I got it figured out, or one of these where you don't know what the hell you're doing, or where are you on it?
Somewhere in the middle. I know the games I like. It's kind of like the last few pieces to try to fit in. I'm kind of struggling with the last 3 or 4 pieces. I got the first 4 or 5. I feel pretty confident in.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah. I'm playing the main event this week, so obviously it's probably a 1-team week for me. So which is a little bit of a different spin for me. So I feel pretty confident on 5 pieces, and then it's the last 3 or 4 where I'm kind of just
How do you handle it differently on a week where you just have one really big team as opposed to weeks where you're going to be spreading out your exposure to certain players across the thing? Is it more kind of? Do you use the same kind of philosophy? Is it more cash game liney?
No, it's the same philosophy. It's a tournament-looking team. It's just, decisions in which you can hedge when you're playing, 100 teams, you have to take a stand on. And, it's 100 or 0. That's kind of the name of the game with one team. So, a couple spots where I'm kind of just meh. And I was a couple players I like. I just can't find the lineup where I feel super comfortable. The lineup I'm staring at right now has Antonio Gates and just.
Well, that's it. That's the second thing I was going to ask you before we get into these topics, and we're going to talk about Gates for sure. But you said you've got a few pieces already. Do any of those pieces are any of those pieces that you kind of have, are any of them value, or are they all just expensive and you're trying to find what value just doesn't suck?
Actually, I don't have any expensive guys. It's all mid-tier at the moment.
Even your runners?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about all this stuff. All right, perfect. Let's just get into some of the clips then, because I definitely want to ask you what you love so much in the mid tier. I guarantee that one of these players has a last name that starts with Mac and ends with Affrey. Let's start out with let's start out with this first clip. This is one I loved when I first heard it. It comes from the Head Chopper on the Daily Fantasy OGs. This podcast comes out early in the week, and early on in the week, Head Chopper was all over a player who I love this week. He says that he wanted all of them. Let's go ahead and go to the clip.
Ezekiel Elliott my savior, coming back to win me a championship in week 16, baby. You know he's gonna come back this week, and he's going to absolutely smother this defense. We just saw him get lit up by Todd Gurley, and I think obviously you can't predict 4 touchdowns, but I think Elliott could have another huge game against Seattle at home this week. Fresh. He's fresh, man. 6 weeks rested now. They're going to run the ball. That's going to be their main focus. I don't want any part of Prescott or Des Bryant or Jason Witten. I just want all Ezekiel Elliott for the Cowboys.
All right. So, it's pretty quick there from Head Chopper. He just says he wants all of the Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know if it's just me being a fellow Texas guy like Head Chopper and having a little bit of bias towards the big dog. But, at the very beginning, he was the guy – just seeing the huge holes that Todd Gurley, the Lamborghini, was able to just cruise through last week versus this Seattle defense has been so depleted. I love fresh legs towards the end of the season. Zeke Elliott's going to get fed. This team's so much better with him. I know you're going to have some dissenting comments, Siege, but what's your overall thought on Zeke Elliott this week on this slate? I think he's going to be the most popular back. At least that's what Jimino has him at right now.
I love this play Monday through Thursday. And then I saw both tackles are questionable. Now, they're going to both play, I would imagine. But
I'm not sure that Tyron Smith's going to play, but I think La'el Collins will play. I think it's
here's the thing. This is a must-win game for Dallas for their playoff hopes. So, this is like playoff injury reporting. So, players are going to play when they would sit normally, right? Because these are must-win games. They're de facto playoff games. So, if they play, they're nowhere near 100%. They wouldn't be if you were 80%, you're not showing up on an injury report for a playoff game. So they're very limited. If both tackles are limited, it's just so hard for me to play a chalk running back when both tackles are so limited.
They still have a very good interior of that offensive line.
But you saw the run game would be affected earlier in the season. It's just.
You saw what?
I love the player. I love the situation. If you told me the offensive line was healthy, I would lock button him in. But the moment you start getting offensive line injuries, it has a real effect. It really does. And if they're playing hurt, that could be worse than them using the backups. So I don't know. Zeke is a guy that I'm going to take to the wire. And it's one of those things Sunday morning where I'm going to be looking for every piece of injury news I can find.
Yeah, I just think that with Tyron Smith, it's going to be – I think it's a big deal. We've seen it's a big deal, but, I think everybody gets flashbacks to that Atlanta game. I'm not sure it's fair to really compare that one because that was a game that didn't involve a healthy Zeke, So, I don't know. I'm still on board. I think that the number one way to kind of mask a bad offensive tackle and to expose the pass rusher opposite of that offensive tackle is just to run at their ass. So I think with Zeke, you can do that. And I think that he's just going to be a huge part of the game plan. Fresh legs, like I said, I think it means a lot here late towards the end of the season, whenever pad level and power and technique is so important. So I love Zeke. I'm still on board. I certainly understand where you're coming from, though. And we're going to talk about the guys who you like a lot better. Anything
I would
else?
say a lot better. I love – if you told me Zeke was healthy, if you told me the offensive line was healthy, I'd be all in. But I just feel like that. There should be this. I have this cardinal rule where if you have both, if both tackles are hurt, you probably don't want to play the running back. So
I get it. I'll just say that with La'el Collins, this has been a management plan for his back that's been ongoing for weeks. So I don't worry as much about him as I do about Tyron Smith. But
I think they're both going to play. It's just how it's not if you play, it's how good, how effective are you going to be? That's
Let me
what
ask,
it comes down to.
If you were playing your normal allotment of tournaments this week, how much Zeke would you have?
I would probably be taking 100 or 0 approach no matter what I did.
No matter what. Okay.
Yeah. I might like if I fade, I might do 10% or like I would take a huge stand one way or another though on the player.
Okay.
Because he's going to be like what, 40%?
Do you think everybody's going to? I don't know. I think Jamino last time I checked had him at 27.5.
Yeah, and there'll be some buzz on Sunday morning, so 30. Yeah, I mean, I understand the play. I'm not like saying it's a terrible play. It's a play that I, early in the week was the first guy in, and now I just, I'm like, if I kind of get rid of him, I don't have to play Kendall Wright, who I know we'll talk about. I can get to another player that's just like not bad at football. So we'll see. I'm firmly on the fence on Zeke. Going to kind of depend what value opens up Sunday morning.
I'll just say, already here in the first segment, we're going to get a prop out of me, but this is a big one because Zeke Elliott, I have 70 props already up for our members at rosterwatch.com, early offshore props. He has the best touchdown odds on the whole slate at minus 250. His rushing prop is 105 or 100.5 yards. He has a 2.5 reception prop for an additional 27.5 yards. So you bake all that in, you're looking at about 2.82x value. It's the second best value on the whole entire board if we're going on DraftKings pricing and basing it on the Vegas prop alone. So I like that as confirmation myself. I think what a lot of people are going to be doing in this game, Siege, I think a lot of people are going to like Russell Wilson. I've heard more and more buzz picking up about Doug Baldwin. I think that it makes a lot of sense to play Zeke Elliott in those situations. Do you think we're going to see elevated ownership on Doug Baldwin compared to what he's sort of done recently, just because people are going to want in this game and he's sort of the obvious way to go?
I hope not.
Because you like Baldwin.
Yeah.
I can tell the minute I brought it up. Okay.
I don't think he's going to be that popular, though. I don't think people are – it's not like Dallas versus Slats is one of those things that, like, immediately pops up in people's minds.
It did to me. It did to me. It was the first –
You're from Dallas. You know how bad they are versus Slats.
Yeah. I'm also a professional fantasy football analyst. So, right. Yeah, but it's certainly the first thing I thought of. I think it's I think that's a great way to stack the game. Russell Wilson, Doug Baldwin, Zeke Elliott. Anything else on this one, Siege, before we move on to the next one?
No, that might be like the coldest take I've had all year, like sitting firmly in the middle of the road. Hopefully I do better.
Yeah, man. What's going on, Siege? All right, maybe you can find something on this one. Hey, and we're gonna have hot takes about this one because we got swindled last week. Both of our biggest plays, our bold calls last week. It was Dede Westbrook who, dude. If you look at what happened with Keelan Cole, you look what happened with Jaden Mickens, that was going to be Dede Westbrook had Marquise Lee not gotten hurt.
If you tell me that Blake Bortles throws for that many yards and touchdowns before the start of the game, I'm literally wondering what type of car I'm buying.
I'm taking out a second mortgage and I'm putting it all on Dede, and so that was just such a random deal. This clip from the DFS Pick 6, Evan Silva says that he's hoping that nobody goes back to Dede this week. Let's hear this sharp take from one Evan Silva.
I think there are just a lot of good plays on the board. So trying to put together, trying to build a core, trying to come up with a core. I think that Dede Westbrook will probably be in that core. I hope that people fade him because of last week. Apparently he was super high owned last week.
Yeah.
I think he was like 58% in cash or something on DK.
Yeah, he was on 21% in tournaments.
Yeah, so that's really high. And he did not play poorly last week. I mean, it only shows 2 targets in the box score. He actually got 4. On 2 of them, he set up teammates for touchdowns by drawing a pass interference flag like at the 3-yard line and then drawing a holding flag in the end zone. I mean, it's not like he was playing poorly. The other guys just had bigger games that happen sometimes in the NFL, high-variance sport. And I think we go right back to him against the 49ers. I don't think anybody on the 49ers can cover Dede Westbrook.
All right, so there we have Evan Silva talking about Dede Westbrook. Siege and I were huge proponents of him last week. And look, had Marquise Lee not have gotten hurt, the Keelan Cole game, the Jaden Mickens just nonsense game, all that stuff was going to be Dede Westbrook. Siege was saying, had we have known that Blake Bortles was going to throw for that many yards before – we would have gotten much, much more heavily invested in the week. Siege said he'd be already picking out what kind of car he wanted. The fact that he busted and the fact that in the Millionaire Maker, I believe he was the 4th highest owned player. Now he has a $1,000 price increase. He's in a beautiful matchup, Siege. The San Francisco 49ers cannot stop a wide receiver that's a perimeter weapon to save their lives. Where are you this week on D.D. Westbrook after he burned you last week? He probably lost you a little bit of cash.
Right back on it. Like, I think people are going to be like, oh, Fournette's back. Like, how many carries do you think Fournette gets? I think, like, the ceiling is 15.
Why? He averages how many does he average?
Because
he averages some of the highest
because they're going to be up the whole game and they don't need to get him hurt before the playoffs. Like, the only way the Jaguars don't get
he averages 24 touches a game.
I understand that.
Right.
I understand that, but they should be managing his workload. Like, it's time to act like a division champion and be responsible and manage your stars' workload. I'm dead serious.
I know, but it's just
if Fournette is healthy, they are the AFC favorite.
Really? You're saying that?
Yeah, they're the AFC favorite.
More than the Patriots? You would
Yes.
take the Jags over the Patriots on a neutral field.
Yes.
I'm not sure I would, but maybe that's just
Why?
my preconceived biases and no.
That offense is awesome when they have Fournette running the football, play action to those wide receivers, and that defense. Why aren't they the favorite?
I could never pick the Blake Bortles and the Jaguars against
Tom Brady.
Bill
I understand
Belichick
that.
and Tom Brady.
And the game's in New England, so like assuming the Patriots went out, but like I just think it's time for the Jaguars to be responsible and start managing his workload. Like they're going to know the result of the Titans game. I believe the Titans game is a 1 p.m. game, right?
Yeah.
So they'll know the result of that game before they start, or close to it. So let's say the Rams win that game. The Jaguars just know they only have to win one of these last two and to win the AFC South. So
they might just want to take care of it. Just get it done.
I agree, but like when you're up 17-0 or 17-3, or do you really need to be running Fournette up the middle when the guy has a huge, is coming off a quad injury, coming off an ankle injury? I say that just simply because I think that means they're just going to throw the football more. Like they know how to run the football up the middle. Like getting Blake Bortles reps is the most important thing that they can do between now and the playoffs. Get him reps, get him confidence. I think they're going to throw the ball all over this 49ers defense. The 49ers run a ton of plays. I think the Jaguars are going to run a ton of plays here as well. I think Fournette's going to be fine. The 49ers have been really good against the run. Actually, I think it was actually in the running back.
Ever since Reuben Foster came back, they've been a lot better. I was actually really surprised when I made our matchup tool this week I just not made it, but when I just input some of the stuff into the matchup tool for our algorithm and our model this week, I was so surprised to find out that this week's matchup against opposing runners for the San Francisco 49ers is the 12th worst on the week. Yeah, that hasn't been the case, and that hasn't been the case really ever. I think it's the last couple of weeks they've been trending up. I think it has a lot to do with Reuben Foster. And if you look at as my co-host on Roster Watch, Byron says, like watch the Alabama versus LSU games from college and see what Reuben Foster versus Leonard Fournette looks like. That's a force versus a force. So
Fournette's only averaging 3.24 yards per carry since week 6. Their offensive line's moved from 3rd to 11th, and the 49ers have moved from the bottom 3 in DVOA to 16th since week 6. So I don't think I think Fournette will be fine, but I think like this sneaky Fournette has a massive ceiling spot is kind of fool's gold, and I think D.D. Westbrook is the way to go here.
Yeah, I'm not saying I think he has I'm not saying that I think that his ceiling's massive. I'm just saying saying that he has a tops of 15 touches. To me, that's just cockamamie. Like
I just saying somewhere between I said in the range of 15. I think 13 to 18 is what they should be doing this week if they're in control. Now, if the game's close and they need to win the game, then that's something else. But I think if they're in control, playing from in front, I don't think they should be running him into the ground.
So Keelan Cole's only 4,700.
No.
Well, I mean, I gotta ask.
No, you don't.
Well, I gotta ask.
If Keelan Cole burns me again, so be it.
Well, he burned you bad, didn't he? He burned me bad. It should have been Dede, dude. It should have been Dede. Dede would have gotten more done. Dede would have gotten more done on those touches.
I mean, Dede also had that long touchdown pass where the defender just tackled him too.
Oh, the OPI, the OPIs.
The DPI.
The DPIs.
Yeah, it was a wide open touchdown. I mean, he gets that, and it's a completely the DB barely got his ankle. That changes the whole slate. He gets 20 instead of 4.
No, yeah, I got swindled last week. I think you like a lot of those wide receivers there in that 6K-ish range. So we'll talk about some of them. It's just in my initial builds, if I'm paying up for a couple of these runners, it's sort of, I mean, I love Baldwin.
You can't get there. That's kind of one of the reasons why I'm kind of considering, like it's a brutal fade, but like, there's kind of reasons to fade all of them.
Yeah, brutal fades. We'll talk about all those guys here in a second. Let's see if we can move on to the next clip, though. There's been enough D.D. Westbrook talk on this show to last for 3 seasons, and we've only had him on the main slate for 3 weeks now. This one comes from the Yahoo show. This is I forgot who it exactly was. Who was it on the Yahoo show? Is it RotoGrinders guy? What is his name? Killer B?
Yeah, Killer B.
Killer B. Yeah.
Killer
So Killer B says that he has a top wide receiver play, and I believe it was Killer B. I was listening on the podcast. I wasn't watching, so my apologies. It was actually Dalton Del Don who was saying it, but it was just interesting. It perked my ears up because he said this guy was his number 1 wide receiver play of the entire week.
Yeah, so Mike Evans. So this week, I got him as my top wide receiver of the week overall. Just feel like this is a great spot. This is the time of the year. Actually, it doesn't matter what week it is. I love when we start seeing, not for the players that get hurt, but love it when extra injuries open up potential target usage and whatnot. And we're getting that in Tampa Bay. No OJ Howard, so it's not like he gets a lot of targets anyway. He's more of a pass blocking tight end, but you have Deshaun Jackson still supposedly with a boot, potentially on crutches, not practicing. I don't expect him to play. Really like Mike Evans this week to be fed a ton of targets, and kind of read an article before I came on the show that kind of makes the narrative a little bit better. You got Winston that says, talking to the media, you guys can shred me up for the whole year for not giving him that chance more often. Talking about Mike Evans, he goes, in this situation when Mike is one-on-one or no one is around him, I've got to give him a chance. Cool part about it too is Dirk Cutter kind of said the same thing. He goes, I've had the same exact conversation with James. It's a lot simpler when you just throw him the ball. So I expect this narrative and these quotes to be kind of put into the game plan more. At least Jameis, if nobody's open, throw it up to him. So Mike Evans, Mike Evans, injuries are favoring him here. And, this is a spot where you beat Carolina on the outside. James Bradbury and Darryl Worley, they've been susceptible all year on the outside. So they kind of stuff the run, kind of already a funnel. No Doug Martin running the ball. So the pass run ratio has been really strong towards the pass for Tampa Bay without Doug Martin. And I expect that to continue, especially being down in this game. So.
All right. Well, there you go, Siege. That was Killer B from the Yahoo DFS show with Dean 7804 and
7804 if you're getting all technical on me.
If you get all technical on me, right? Him and so Dean and Dalton Del Don and Killer B from here on RotoGrinders. And Killer B says that he loves him some Mike Evans this week. I think that you might be on the same team.
Yes, he's absolutely correct. Mike Evans is number 1 wide receiver this week, and I don't really want to talk Chad into it. The answer to this is yes. James Bradbury, awful at football. They lost OJ Howard. They lost one of their targets. No Deshaun Jackson. I get it. Chris Godwin could have a good game. Whatever. It's going to be the Mike Evans versus James Bradbury show. James Bradbury is short. Mike Evans is not short. This is just a classic Mike Evans goes bonkers spot. Everyone's going to look at the first game, and it was 17-3, and they'll be like, oh, this game's going to be defensive. That game was played in a massive windstorm in Tampa, super chalk. No one's going to go back to it. Yes, and yes.
Why is this narrative developed that Bradbury's short? I heard Davis Maddox.
5'10".
He's not 5'10". I believe I saw the Senior Bowl weigh-in stuff. He's at least 6 foot since 6'8". He might be 6. He's listed as 6'1". He's not.
He's 5'10".
I mean, I can pull up.
Hold on, that's the wrong James Bradbury.
I can pull up the Senior Bowl weigh-in information. He's somewhere between 6 feet. He might be 6'1".
6'1".
So I don't think he's that short, but he does suck. And he should.
Mike Evans is 6'5". He's got 4-inch gap. We all know the difference when Mike Evans has a 4-inch plus gap.
I get it. It's just a big difference between 5'9" and 6'1".
He's still 4 inches shorter. 4 inches shorter, 6 inches shorter. He's too short.
And I said he sucks. I hate him.
He does suck. We've been saying this for 2 months now.
Right. I'm just saying he sucks, but he's not necessarily short. He's actually pretty
short
long.
Relative to Mike Evans, which is all I give a damn about.
Yeah. No Deshaun Jackson, no OJ Howard. Any love for Cam Brate in this game? I mean, he's pretty cheap.
If he wasn't so limited, I don't know why. He's got when you have 2 injuries on the injury report, I get worried about you.
I get it. But boy, man, Jameis sure does look to him in the red zone. You wonder, I don't know if I like him versus those Carolina linebackers. I know Thomas Davis is out, but Luke Kuechly's pretty athletic dude himself. I'm not sure. I think a lot of people are going to go to Cameron Brate at 3,300. I'm not sure just how interested I am. I know that he was a guy who I expected would really pop in our model at Roster Watch for our pro members, and he didn't pop in our model. So thought that was kind of interesting. What are you doing at tight end anyway? You're not gonna be able to pay up, are you?
I don't know what I'm going. I mean, right now I'm sitting with Antonio Gates at the min, and I feel really gross about it.
Well, that actually segues very well into our next clip. Let's go ahead and go to it here. This comes from the Swolecast, and our producer Dave's going to get it thrown up. This is, I believe it was Soccer Dave on the Swolecast said that he thought that Antonio Gates was close to a lock.
Antonio Gates, I mean, he's got fresh legs late in the season. He hasn't been playing a lot of snaps.
You can't even say that with a straight face.
I mean, he's close he's close to a lock on DraftKings.
At the minimum, I think he's tough to get away from, to be perfectly honest. I mean,
after the game, he's going to go back to his nursing home for the week.
Jets have been bad against tight ends. He's going to get targets in scoring position. The Chargers should be able to have offensive success here and move the ball into scoring position. You can't really. I mean, the only argument against him is that he's slow and can't move.
It seems like a reasonable.
That seems like a good argument.
Fair enough.
Like if Soccer Dave gets 8 targets for the Chargers, how many fantasy points are you going to get? Because they're basically equivalent athletes right now.
Soccer Dave might be a little faster, which is saying something if you saw him try to.
Soccer Dave's been shedding the pounds from eating cream cheese, man. He's ready to go.
Oh, no. Cream cheese diet's going to be back January 1st. It's on. Sexy Soccer Dave's going to be back.
Mm-hmm.
Cream cheese, bacon, all the good stuff. All right.
Well, Siege, as we were just talking about off air, the A Gates narratives always rear their heads around this time of year about whether the Chargers are going to be trying to get him the football. Last year, the force feeding him to get him to the tight end touchdown record. We always talk about how he can't run. You were mentioning though last year versus Cleveland towards the end of the season, they did put up a big game there. I don't know. I mean, obviously the pull here is that Hunter Henry is now on season-ending IR with a lacerated, was it a kidney or a liver? Something that just
something that should not be lacerated. How about that?
Of course he's on IR. But yeah, so people think that the targets are going to pick up in a good matchup for Antonio Gates, who probably is seeing his last run here to the playoffs. Your thoughts on A Gates this week? The other obvious thing about him, stone minimum 2,500. He has a plus 135 touchdown prop, so Vegas sees some touchdown equity there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's ugly. It's not fun, but this is a must-win game for the Chargers, which kind of goes 2 ways. One, they're not going to force feed them touchdowns, right? They need to go through guys that are open. They need to win this game to get get a shot at the playoffs. But on the other hand, it means they're not going to just run them out there for half the snaps. They need them. It's a good matchup. So if your starter's out, you're a player on an NFL football team, you're the next guy up, you got to be ready to play. And I think he is ready to play. So it's kind of tough for me. Like, I would much rather just have the money to play Keenan Allen for my exposure in this game. I love his spot. I just don't know if I have it. And so I think I'm just going to kind of settle on Gates and make sure I go to church tomorrow morning and hope for the best.
Church at Disney up there. You got.
I don't even know if there's a church here.
You have Mickey Mouse give you communion or something.
Oh man, that would be pretty funny. Awesome. That would be very awesome though.
And he's trying not to spill any grape juice on those big white gloves. Yeah, I don't know, man. I look at this game. I have a lot of interest in. I have a lot of interest in a lot of Chargers in this game. I don't know if I can go with old man Antonio Gates. 2,500 though is hard to get away. It's like it feels like a massive pay up from there to even get up to like Eric Ebron or somebody who you don't really necessarily love that much anyway. I wanted to ask you about Eric Ebron while we were here though, because he came in with a pretty good prop at 3.5 receptions for 42.5 yards. That's pretty good at 3,700. He also popped off in our model as a guy who I always hate, and I always hate it when guys I hate pop off in our model. Do you have any thoughts on Eric Ebron? He seems like he's been having a bit of a resurgence lately.
This honestly is like the first time I've thought about Eric Ebron all week.
Okay, so you just meh.
I don't know why is he suddenly getting all these targets? Like, why? Is it just like noise? Is there a reason for it? I don't understand why he's suddenly like becoming like getting all these targets.
Right. It has been good volume recently, and he is a first-round pick with a whole lot of speed. And if he can catch the football and see it in before he turns upfield, we've seen that he has the ability to, break game-changing plays. The Cincinnati defense has largely mailed it in. It seems like on Marvin Lewis, who's already kind of quit on that team himself. So I think Ebron at 3,700 is pretty interesting. I just was interested in your take on it. As far as the Vegas props, he's by far who Vegas sees as the best value based on the draft.
The Lions are turning into chalk this week. I started to notice this, and I noticed Big T tweeted about it this morning. Like, did I say Tigers? I'm at Lions. I don't know why. Like, I get it. Like, Theo's a fine play. Ebron's a fine play. But, like, why are they super chalk? This is a dome team going outside.
Are they chalk?
Tony made it sound like they were, and I kind of have been hearing the narrative like, oh, Lions this and Lions that most of the week.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess I've been a little bit interested in the Lions, and for me, it's just had to do with how bad Cincinnati's looked. They just looked really, really bad. So these are games that the Detroit Lions are really, trying to, these are games that the Detroit Lions are really trying to win. These are big, important games for them. So I don't know. Just figured it'll probably be a lot of plays, a lot of snaps. Pretty, generally it's a pretty, I think, pretty fast-paced offense where there's no real run game involved. So the only pieces you're really interested in are like a satellite back like Theo or these pass receiving options on the other side of Matt Stafford. So it makes it a little bit concentrated to where the production is coming from. It's only basically 3 receivers, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 running back in Theo. So knowing they're all in good spots is probably not as hard to pick where the production is going to come from like it is like in a Patriots or something that's in a good spot. So maybe that's why if they're chalk, I'm not interested. But I was kind of interested in your thoughts on Eric Ebron as far as as far as the other game that we were talking about, the Chargers going all the way out there to the Jets. Do you have any worry about people just saying? I know people are going to say I'm not playing the Chargers because they are going east for an early game versus the Jets, and the Jets have been playing a little bit better recently.
Early games don't matter when they're must-win games. Like that doesn't matter week 16 when you need a win to make the playoffs. Like that's not a factor.
I tend to agree, especially with the veteran quarterback. Veteran quarterback, good veteran core on that team. The play that I love the most from the whole game is Melvin Gordon. I think with Austin Eckler out, it's just a tremendous boon for. All right,
did Eckler actually even get ruled out yet? By the way,
what the special teams coach said is that if he does play, he'll probably his work will be limited to on special teams because his hand is covered in one of the little Q-tip things, so he won't be able to really catch out of the backfield.
But they still have Brandon Oliver. Like I wouldn't. I don't like Melvin Gordon that much. This is
gonna be a Melvin Gordon volume monster. I think
monster.
I think I smell where our bet is coming from. I think I smell where our bet is originating.
Oh, absolutely.
Woo! All right, let's see. Let's move on to the next clip here so I can start collecting a little bit of cash from Siege.
You say that every week, and then every week you come back next week and you're like, well, I'm down another 2 units.
That's true. It's true. I take some tough stands. Let's get to the next clip. This one comes from the Experts Square Table with JM to win and Adam Levitan. This was a take on. I knew we had to get a take from. There was probably this take on every show that I watched this week on RotoGrinders and everything I've heard this week on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports. There's been talk about this player. I knew that we had to get him in because we haven't talked about him on this show since week 1, where I told you that it was a complete donkey fish idiot move to play him. Let's see how we feel about him. Let's see about how we feel about him this week.
Another kind of cheap guy that I think people are talking about is Kendall Wright. I haven't played him once. 23 targets though over the last 2 weeks, and his 3,800. People are going to latch on to that. They're very low ADOT targets. He's not really a red zone threat, but do you have any interest in Kendall Wright?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, I'm looking to find a way to go elsewhere just because same concerns as you. It seems like a low upside play. If he drops down to 5 or 6 targets this week, you could end up with 6 points from him. I think it's encouraging that he saw, 11 targets and 10 catches in a blowout win against Cincinnati. It's encouraging that Trubisky's thrown the ball at least 30 times in every game outside of that weird one against San Francisco where the Bears just didn't have the ball. I think other than that, it's like 7 straight games that he's thrown it 30 times. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Wright's definitely there with how thin value is this week. Obviously, there are concerns just that if the targets do drop, this is not a high upside play. But, you know, as Silva mentioned in his matchups column, this Greg Williams defense leaves the middle of the field wide open quite a bit with their blitz-heavy scheme. So I think that it makes sense to go to Kendall Wright. It's not sexy. It won't feel good, but I expect another good game from him.
All right, well, here we are, week 16. We've come full circle from the idiotic Kendall Wright take in week 1 where he was gonna just walk right into 10 targets, and because Doel Loggins was his coach 4 years ago. In week 1 where we had a ton of value anyway, and I just couldn't believe the fact that Kendall Wright was chalk. And here we are, week 16. I actually like him a little bit better. 24 targets over the course of the last 2 weeks. It looks like I think that we were just talking about Breanne Body Calhoun. It looks like he's questionable for this game, but could be making a return there for the Cleveland Browns as the slot corner. So the matchup might have gotten a little bit harder knowing that he was going to come back. With that being said, Cleveland's impossible to run on whenever Danny Shelton's healthy, and that defensive line has just been pretty good. The way you beat these guys is by throwing on them. We've seen the Mitchell Trubisky's a volume of attempts continue to kind of move up a little bit. They're starting to –
It's called a fluke there, Alex. It's called 46 attempts as a fluke.
Well, yeah, but the week before – I mean, I don't have his game all pulled up, but the week before that he had 30 or something like
32, 15, 33 –
yeah, right.
30.
So that's 3 out of the last 3.
30. Okay, if he throws 30 passes this week, that's 33% less than last week. So we have to cut Kendall Wright's targets in a third. And would you be all about Kendall Wright this week if he was on 8 targets? No, you'd be laughing at him again.
Yeah, I'd probably be laughing. I think 8 targets for 3,800.
You were laughing at him for $3K for 10 targets week 1.
No, I was laughing at the idea that people were prospecting on the idiotic notion that he's going to walk into 10 targets when he's Kendall Wright.
He's still Kendall Wright. He's still Kendall Wright.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, like this game's going to be close, and when John Fox plays a close game, you know what happens? He knits up like a little scared puppy, and he runs the football and runs the clock and doesn't let Trubisky throw the football. You know how many multiple touchdown games Trubisky has this season? 0. So you know what Kendall Wright's upside for 2 touchdowns is in this game? 0. I'm not
hoping for 2 touchdowns.
You're hoping for 6 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown, and you're praying that you get the 1 touchdown?
Yeah, well, I think that the 6 catches for I mainly play cash, you know that. So, I mean, the 6 catches for 70 would be fine for me. I would take 13 points out of my 3
Yeah,
points.
Cash game's fine, but whatever. Cash games it's week 16. You know,
What does that mean?
it means play some tournaments.
You shouldn't play cash. Well, I do play tournaments, but I play mostly cash.
Kendall Wright is a terrible football player. He's a terrible football player. He's not even min price. The Browns are going to win this football game. I've been on record saying this all week. The Browns are going to win this football game. Like, they have they have more talent than the Bears on the field.
Who do you like better as a value option at wide receiver than Kendall Wright?
I don't like any of these clowns.
Well, then so you're paying down for Gates. You're probably paying down for I'm interested to know where you're paying down.
Paying down a tight end, $2,500 for a tight end gives you a lot of flexibility.
Yeah. And I guess that's how you've kind of talked yourself onto Gates so much. I think I think the Kendall Wright is like I said, it's not like I'm any kind of Kendall Wright truther. I hated him in week 1. Actually, 24 targets over the course of the last 2 games. The fact, man, those Cleveland, they keep their safeties back so far. We don't know if Adam Shaheen is even going to play. So, like, if they don't have a tight end, if it's just Deion Sims or something, he's like, it's going to be right to get all the looks over.
You're assuming that John Fox is willing to throw the football.
Well, even if he throws the football 30 times, I can't see Kendall. I mean, who's he going to go to? Dontrell Inman up against McCourty? Like, I think that it would be a lot.
I think 30 is a very high projection. It could be 20. It could be 15.
But we just read out the course of the last 6 weeks and 4 hours.
Yeah, but the games that were close, he was being passive.
I get it. I'm saying I don't hate Kendall Wright as much as usual. He's a guy who actually played a lot of last week on the Saturday slate, and he ended up doing really well.
Yeah, because Trubisky had to throw the football, but like in the close games, his pass attempts this season are 15, 30, 32, 7, 16.
What was the who was
7?
The 7? Who was the 7 again?
Carolina. He had a game with 7 passing attempts. And you want to play a wide receiver that's not mid-price with this clown? I mean, good luck.
Come on, dude. That's a horrible way to paint it. For one, I don't want to play him.
It's John Fox. You're trusting John Fox to be smart.
No, he's a donk. I feel like at some point you got to find savings. I feel like he's a legitimate play.
Yeah, it's called Antonio Gates. Just suck it up and play him.
Okay, let's get on to the next.
And it's either that or like you're playing these scrubs are all awful. And by the way, like these scrub wide receivers, like costs, like Antonio Gates is $1,300 less than Kendall Wright.
No, I get it. How many what's the over under on targets for A Gates this week?
6.5.
Oh, 6.5. Well, if you guarantee me 6.5 targets, I'm taking A Gates to the bank every week.
I mean, that's about what they've been averaging to the tight end.
Okay,
and it's a good matchup.
Watch these go to like one of these dudes like Calkin or Jeff.
So what? If he's 2,500, he can't kill you. He's 2,500. He legitimately can't kill you.
Let's see if we can get to this last one. So CJ and I will have some time to maybe make some Melvin Gordon cheese off of the guy. This one comes from Sharp DFS Analysis with Chris Cimino and Chris Raybon, and of course Warren Sharp. And Chris Raybon has a take where he wants to get off one of the most popular running backs of the week and instead go with the passing game.
The Rams implied total is up there, 26.5, 27.5, depending where you look. That's one of the highest on this week's slate of games. But yeah, everyone's really zeroing in only on Todd Gurley. And I think Goff is going a bit overlooked. I mean, he's had multiple touchdown passes in 6 of his last 7 games. And he can give you that kind of high floor, not only just based on his play, but also that of Sean McVay in LA out here just scheming up things and ways to beat these various defenses. And if you look at the Tennessee Titans, I mean, first of all, and not that this is a problem for Todd Gurley, because I think I've been on Gurley since the preseason. I was very high on him, and I think he'll have a great game as he does pretty much every week. But the actual weakness for the Tennessee Titans is their pass defense, not their run defense. They are 24th in Football Outsiders pass defense DVOA, but they rank 10th best in rushing. So in run defense, excuse me. So this is a situation where I'm sure Sean McVay is kind of looking at it and saying, okay, well, what matchups am I going to exploit in the passing game? And I think there are plenty. I mean, first of all, you have one of Tennessee's outside cornerbacks, LaShawn Sims. He just went on the injured reserve, so they're probably going to have to bump Logan Ryan, who's been playing a slot outside, and put Bryce McCain in the slot. That's a downgrade pretty much at both spots. Logan Ryan also banged up with an ankle injury in practice, and that's always good news when you have a cornerback with an ankle issue, because obviously ankle is very important when you're trying to cover wide receivers. So you have a situation where Jared Goff is in this situation with a high implied total. He's in a situation where, pretty much good matchups all the way around now that he has Robert Woods, his most targeted wide receiver, back in the mix. You have a kind of a struggling, a weak Tennessee defense against the pass. And then you have something, Chris, that you actually brought up before the show, which is that Tennessee, and this has been kind of more of a talking point locally in Tennessee. I'm not sure if it's made its way around the national media yet, but Tennessee has been kind of experimenting with more spread offense, some up-tempo, no-huddle kind of things. And they did that a lot in the second half last week against the 49ers. And they had some success. And it looks like from everything we've heard, just as far as the coaches talking to the media and whatnot, that they want to do more of it. And the players are on board. Rashard Matthews just said, when Marcus Mariota's calling the plays, it's a lot better. I'm not sure if he was trying to take a shot at this offensive coordinator or not, but regardless, this is a situation where the Titans could play at a bit of a faster pace than we're used to seeing them.
Well, Siege, there you have it. Chris Raybon, as usual, breaking it down. As I was identifying your core wide receiver plays, just because by now I've gotten to know the guys that you like. One of the ones that I said, you told me that you love a bunch of these mid-range guys. I said, let me guess. The first one I said, Robert Woods, and you had to nod your head in approval there of my guess. I'm guessing that you love this call from Raybon, considering the fact that you're not going to be probably looking to pay up too much at running back, which would naturally mean that you like any takes that say that Todd Gurley might not go quite as big as some people might expect.
Yeah, I mean, coming off of being on Gurley, as we talked about last week in that spot. Right. This is just simply the Titans have no corners. Logan Ryan and LaShawn Sims are ruled out. So that leaves Adoree Jackson on Sammy Watkins. And then that leaves guys like Bryce McCain, who's not good.
No,
Ty Smith.
No. Don't give him that much credit. He's awful.
Awful. Okay, we can go with awful.
Yeah.
We've got Ty Smith, who's played 5 snaps this season. The last Roto World update says this. Coming out of small, and this is from 2015, mind you, last update. Coming out of small school Townsend, Smith stumbled at the combine running a 4.640. And he's a corner.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's past. That's like Leonard. That's like Leonard Johnson slow. That's horrible.
That's really, really bad. And then Kalen Reed, who I don't even think has a Roto World profile.
Mr. Irrelevant. Mr.
Irrelevant from 2016. Yeah. And the last update was them waiving him in 2016.
Okay.
So, Titans have this thing called cornerback problems. And we know that Sean McVay loves to attack a weakness on your team. So, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, come on down. Well, the next contestant on Touchdown World.
To tell you the truth, dude, I'm kind of actually warming up to it myself. I'm trying to think of what your touchdown game show, what your Touchdown World game show would encompass. but yeah, I mean, I'm warming up to the idea because Gurley wasn't a guy who I was paying. He wasn't a guy I was paying up for anyway. We loved him last week. He was the guy who on my head-to-heads that did get pulled out from having too much Devin Funchess and too much D.D. Westbrook. Like he was the reason that they did get pulled out. So love Todd Gurley. I've said from the beginning of the season, these idiots, these donkeys starting the season that said Todd Gurley's not a good runner, just idiots, and you shouldn't listen to him. It pains me to say, but I kind of like this take. I like it. I like Kupp. I think Watkins can beat Adoree Jackson.
The funny thing is, I'm just sitting there assuming that Adoree Jackson can cover Sammy Watkins. That is by no means a gimme.
No. Adoree Jackson's a guy he's electric with the ball in his hands. He's a great athlete, but that guy can get burned still. We've seen it.
Absolutely.
The one thing that you do worry about is that they have the Tennessee Titans have limited the big plays, the 20+ yard receptions.
Yeah, but when they were healthy.
Yeah, no, totally. But just something to keep in mind. I think they were third best in that department coming into this week. So yeah, I like it. I like it. All right, so let's get into all right, so you like a lot of these mid-price wide receivers. Let me get a DraftKings contest pulled up here for
Careful, I'm not giving you my whole squad here.
For the Sun. No, I'm not gonna give out your whole. I already know who your whole squad is. I'm not gonna give it out. I can read right through some of your hints. Let's see. So in this mid range, do you like who do you like more? Do you like Robert Woods or Tyreek Hill at the same price?
Woods.
Okay. Do you like in PPR? Do you like Jarvis Landry or no, I don't want Jarvis.
Yeah, the answer is going to be whoever's not Jarvis.
I think I like all that. Well, what if? All right. Do you like Jarvis? Do you like Marquise Goodwin more than Jarvis?
Okay, that might be the one guy that Jarvis can beat.
Do you like Sterling Shepard more than Jarvis?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take.
I'll take. Against Pat. You know what? I changed my mind.
I could maybe take Tyreek Hill versus Robert Woods. Is there any action?
We got Melvin Gordon. Okay. You love Melvin Gordon. We can definitely find something on Melvin Gordon.
Do you want to take Kenyon Drake?
I'm not taking Kenyon Drake.
Do you like Kenyon Drake this week?
No.
He's too expensive, right?
Way too expensive.
Especially with your boy Damian Williams.
I'll give you a list of guys that I'll take point per dollar over Melvin Gordon, and you can pick one. McCaffrey.
Okay. Who I kind of like.
Let's see here. God, these mid-tier running backs are all awful.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand how you're going all mid-tier.
I'll take Gillislee point per dollar. That would be really tilting for you.
Point for dollar is 3.9K versus whatever.
That would be really tilting for you when he runs in for 2 touchdowns, which is going to happen, by the way. It's going to happen, but you can't roster him. He's going to get 2 touchdowns against the Bills. I already see this coming.
How about your boy LaShawn McCoy versus your Patriots? Would you like him point per dollar better?
Can I get point per dollar with Mark Ingram?
That's a good. Yeah. I'll give you point per dollar with Mark Ingram. Let's do that. Mark Ingram versus Melvin Gordon.
Alrighty.
I'll do it. I'll do it. And then no interest in the Tyreek Hill versus Robert Woods, both at 6,500.
Not really. I love Robert Woods. I don't really think I need to Tyreek Hill could just hit the Miami special teams is so bad. I could get burned on special teams too. It's just I don't really want to do it.
Any interest in the sweet smell of is that Capri Bibbs revenge in the air?
P. Ryan says he's going to play.
You think he will? P. Ryan, another guy who swindled me last week.
That was I should shock. I got on late. That was silly. I should
have just listened to you because I was just a bad idea.
I got on it too. I listened to you. That was a stupid idea too.
P. Ryan said if P. Ryan plays, clearly not quite as interesting. I'm looking down here at the value.
I mean, you want to take Antonio Gates versus someone? Because I know you're not an Antonio Gates guy.
No, I mean, not on point per dollar. I mean, if you want to do it straight on somebody, I'll do it. But I guess what that means is that's kind of me admitting that it's probably a good play.
Right? Exactly. So, do you have any Vegas games that you feel strong about that you think are going to go over or under?
Yeah, I think Dallas and Seattle will go over.
Ooh, hold on, we might be able to find something there.
Okay, what do you have on the latest line? I can pull up our.
I got. Let's see here. I got. That's 47.5.
Yeah.
Give me a half a point, so that we don't have a tie. Total number of points scored. I get Tampa, Carolina, and you get Seattle, Dallas.
And I give you how much? One full
half a point. So half a point, just so it doesn't end in a tie.
Okay, yeah, Tampa. Tampa's gonna. I mean, Carolina.
I'm giving you half a point of value if it makes you feel better. The line's 47.5 for Seattle, and the line for Tampa, Carolina is 46.5.
All right. I'll take that bet. Yeah, I mean that's the players I like the most this week are going to be Zeke and Doug Baldwin. Those are two of my core plays. I know that you're going to have a couple core plays there in that game. A certain mid-priced wide receiver who our guy Killer B talked about earlier, I'm sure is going to sneak his way into some of your lineups. So you got any bold calls for the week before we get out of here? Our two bets, of course, are Mark Ingram dollar for dollar at 8,100 versus Melvin Gordon dollar for dollar at 7,200. And then I'm laying 1/2 point to you with the game total of the Dallas game versus the Carolina game.
Yep. Cam Newton goes for 30 plus DK points.
Is that bold?
He's 6,800. I would think that's kind of bold.
Yeah, that's
that's basically 5x. What else would you like me to ask?
Yeah, Cam Newton. I think that's been. I mean, he's gone for. Yeah, that's bold enough. He's only gone for over 30 points. 3 times this season? So
yeah,
that's a bold enough call. All right, my call will be 30 points for Melvin Gordon going to the New York Jets. I know.
No chance.
I love it. All right, so he's the Siege. You can find all of his work here on RotoGrinders, on Grinders Live. You can find all of his special premium content on RotoGrinders, and also with the tournament tactics package that you can find in the RotoGrinders marketplace for football, for basketball, for baseball. Make sure and go check it out. I'm soon to have a free one once I win our bet on this next week. You can find all of my work at rosterwatch.com. With a pro membership, you can hear me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio on Saturday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, Sunday mornings, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. You can follow Siege on Twitter at TheSeige DFS. You can follow me on Twitter at Alex Dunlap NFL. So until next time, guys, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got another week next week. So for The Siege, I am Alex. And until next week, we're getting the hell out of here.